Like,
because I have a lot to say. So let me get that out of the way.
All right, we'll just get right into it.
Yeah,
Thanks
sure.
for uh, thanks for joining us today, Daniel. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So today we have Daniel Jackson. He's a author of a book. It's The New Beginnings: My Awakening as a Spirit Medium.
That's me.
Um, I bought the book. I read it. It's fascinating to me, the whole medium, psychic, all that genre. Um, it, it's endlessly fascinating to me. The one question that I have before we get into the book and that stuff, I think people have a difficult time trying to decide the difference between a medium and a psychic. Is that
Sure.
something you can explain to me?
Oh, absolutely. Psychics are connected to the living, where mediums are connected to those who have passed on. Although some mediums do get psychic messages, like I was doing readings in a mall one time, and a man walked past me, and when he walked past me, I got a message from regular spirit that said he was going to pass away when he was 47 years old.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
wow. But then at that point, I asked my spirit guides if it was okay to tell him that, and they said no. The reason being is because he had his little girl that was walking with him. She was probably 3 or 4 years old, and
Sure.
the reason for that is because when she grows up, there are lessons that she is going to need to learn throughout her life, having to
Yeah.
deal with her father who died at such a young age.
Right.
So
Okay. Makes
it's
sense.
very,
Heartbreaking to know that, and you can't
yeah,
say anything.
it's very big picture stuff. Our lives are very big picture things. We believe that when we make a decision, it affects one, two, three, maybe four people, but it affects a whole group of people. And
Yeah.
by the time it gets down the end of that line to those people, it didn't go the way that we wanted it to go. So we have to be very conscientious on the way that we make our decisions and not use them just for ourselves because we like to use our ego all the time. Because when you use your ego all the time, then it's just not you think it's just going to work out for you, great, but it's going to affect a lot of other people, which in turn decides whether or not you come back here and do this all over again, because we
Yeah.
all come back over and over and over again. Now each of us, the average time is between 26 and 29 times, but I've been here the longest.
Are you
So
talking about reincarnation or?
yeah, that's what they call
Okay.
it. But yeah, that's you're coming back because you didn't do anything bad. It's because the
You're
lessons you
not ready.
yeah, the lessons you learned or were trying to learn, you didn't learn them very well. But what the big thing is you didn't fulfill your purpose. And our purpose is not becoming a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. You're going to fulfill your purpose by being one thing, human. And our purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should. In a way where you're helping someone to figure out something they can't do for themselves, or you're helping them to do it because
Yeah.
they just can't do it. And you're also just helping all of God's creation. Like if you were driving down the street in a car and you see a dog in the middle of the street, you could do one of two things. I hate dogs, whatever. I don't care if it gets hit. This is funny. Or you go over there and you pick the dog up and you take it to a vet or you take it to a shelter or you take it home with you, one of those. And that's helping. But
Hmm.
anybody who's walking around going, I hate people and all that stuff, they just keep coming back over and over again, a lot more than everyone else because they're not getting it right. Because we're all in this together. We've always all been in this together, and we are here to help each other. And when you're not doing that because you're an egotistical piece of shit, well, then guess who comes back over and over and over again more than the other?
Yeah.
You do. So yeah,
So
Learning a
what?
lot of lessons along the way.
everything you do is a lesson.
Yep.
I
Yep.
is this just video or audio?
It's
Both.
audio and video also. It's both.
Okay, so I have this towel in my hand. This is a towel I clean my glasses with. If I pick it up and I put it down, that's a lesson. If I pick it up and drop it, well, oh shit, how do I learn that lesson? The next time I'll pick it up and grip it a little bit tighter because there are no wrong or right lessons, there are only lessons. But it depends upon how you're going to get through those lessons. If you walk through a doorway and there's a nail in the floor and you trip over the nail, how do you learn it? Well, you go get a hammer and you bang it back in because you don't want to keep tripping over it. But not everybody does that. They trip 4 or 5 times till they figure this doesn't work for me because there's only two decisions you're ever going to make in your entire life for anything: what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, well, quit freaking doing it. But I know
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who don't do that because I used to work around them in prison. They were called inmates, and they haven't figured out that they're not good criminals yet.
Yeah.
So when you finish your mission and you get to the point where you've learned what you needed to learn and accomplished what you needed to accomplish, what do you think? Are you just go to heaven? You just move on or pass
Uh,
over?
no, well, no, some people do finish it early on in life, uh, and then the rest of their life is up to them to do what they want to do. They can continue to help if they want to, but they really don't have to. But they can at that
Okay.
point. That doesn't mean I want you to run out in the street and jump in front of a car or
Right.
Yeah.
or start acting like a freaking idiot as well and being and doing stupid things to people. No, it's not. We're here to help each other. But where you go from that point when you do pass away, that's up to you. And
Yeah.
not everybody crosses over into what we call the light. Sometimes they stay here as an earthbound spirit. That's
Okay.
why you have haunted houses and all that stuff, because those spirits did not cross over. They're here. And when they do the horrible things and they, like we call it here, playing a prank on you, but the person who's playing a prank on you, you can find that person. These ones, you can't see them. And
Yeah.
when they do that, though they are negative energies. They're doing that because, well, they just think it's funny and because there's no rules over there. They don't have any rules because when you cross over into the light, it's all about positivity. It's all about love. And when you're still here as an earthbound spirit, you still have your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff you left here with. The only difference here and there is you don't have a body anymore. Although, what a lot of, and even these ghost hunters don't know this. If you're a spirit there,
Hmm.
another spirit will walk up to you and smack you in the face. You still feel it. They still feel pain. It
Interesting.
doesn't last very long, but
Yeah.
you're not going to die from it now because you've died already. But and a lot of them know where they are. A lot of them don't. I have spirit come up to me all the time and ask me, "Am I dead?" Because when you stand up out of your body, you still feel like yourself. So they just don't always know.
Do you have any control over it, or does something like you could take a day off of, or is it just random?
Me, no, I don't have any control over it because uh, I, I'm told by my spirit guides not to, because
Hmm.
I have something else that no other medium on the face of this world has, and because I have that, it's something that's just part of me. I don't have control of it, uh,
Hmm.
but I do assist with it. So,
Okay.
but yeah, there's no other medium that has what I do, and they don't have they don't, I don't, they will tell you all kinds of things. They don't have the connection I do because I'm just different than they are. I have something else that they don't have, they will never have because it never needs to be in more than just one. And I was chosen for this.
Is it something that you can learn or and
No, you can't.
adapt to and make it
No,
stronger?
no, well, for anybody, no, you either with this, you either have an ability to be a medium, you
Okay.
either
Hmm.
or you don't. And you can't go to school and go, oh, I'm going to take an intuition class and now I'm
Right.
going to be
Yeah.
a medium. That's a bunch of bullcrap.
Didn't think so.
It comes with your soul, but it comes in with everyone's soul, but not everyone is meant to keep it. That's all.
Yeah.
Some of us are, as I always explain, some of us are just meant to be teachers and everyone else is just meant to be a student.
In your
Oh
book,
yeah.
you mentioned intuition classes that you had gone to. What happens there? Is it just a sharpening of your skills, or you learn more
Yeah,
about it, or
yeah,
Honing them in.
yeah. It's just a sharpening of your
okay?
skills. I actually got kicked out of that class.
Really?
I was told that I was too much of an advanced medium for them, and I was scaring the other members, but which was
Wow.
it was not true. It was the person who was teaching the class. I was more of an advanced medium than she was, and I was taking away her thunder.
I think I remember you writing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the woman's name who I shall not mention.
Yeah. As I gotta say, as soon as I picked up your book, um, as soon as I started reading it, I didn't put it down until I finished it. It was such a
Same.
good book, and it
Same.
grabbed me in a way where I just wanted to keep reading it.
I have a
Um,
question for you now. If now that you've heard my voice, if you go and pick up that book, you might find yourself reading it again and finding out that when you're reading it, you're going to hear my voice telling you the story.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'll
Yeah,
definitely read it again because it was such an interesting read from start to finish.
I have a
Um,
question for you.
sure.
What did you order it on Amazon or something?
I
I
ordered it
ordered
on
it. I got it on
Kindle.
Kindle.
Yeah, Amazon.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah.
I was really hoping there was an Audible to it because I'm one of those that I love to listen,
yeah,
and so oh, is it? If it is, then I'll
yeah,
definitely pick it up again
yeah.
because when I'm working, I concentrate. I can do multitasking, so listening to a book is very soothing, and so when I can really grasp what you're saying in an Audible, so it's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, like going to a movie. I would rather go to a movie than read a book.
100%. That's the way
I've,
I am.
Yeah,
I've only read 3 books in my life, and mine is one of them.
I
great
I
book.
tell you what, I'm like one of the documentary watcher people.
Same.
To read a book is not something that I usually do, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
the same as I started reading it and I read it because obviously the subject is very interesting to me.
Did
Um,
did either of you guys put a review in?
Not
I
yet, but
will.
I'm
I
certainly
will. I
going to.
will.
Come on, you pieces of shit. Let's get on.
It'll be a lot easier to do it on my phone on the Kindle app than it is on the Kindle on the
Yeah.
paper white Kindle.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'll definitely put one in for you.
it's crazy with Amazon. In order for your book or anything you have on there to remain relevant, you
Yeah.
have to have at least 25 reviews on there.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
And I have like 22 people who've written them. And so it won't be relevant until I have 25 and then it'll show up. But so I have, yeah, 22. So you guys put one on each. I'll just need one more and
There we go.
I'll be
Um,
famous, man.
We'll make it happen.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Recommend it to everybody because everybody,
Oh, for
it's
sure.
the story. So I'll tell you something about the book. The story itself, about me and how everything happened to me for me. Yeah, it's interesting, you know. But it's that last chapter called chapter 12, the basics. The
Hmm.
messages that I received from archangels, not men with wings and shields and swords by any means. And when I submitted those to the editor, she sent them all back and said they didn't need to be edited. And she said, why? I said, because they didn't come from me. They came from a perfect place. Whereas everything else in the book had to be edited because my grammar
Right. Yeah.
sucked.
We wrote a book. We know how that goes.
Ah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned that you worked in a prison for a while. I can't imagine that's a good place for someone like you to work that has with all the horrible things that happen there and deaths and all that. Do you just get bombarded all day with spirits talking to you?
Whether I'm there or whether I'm anywhere, I don't ever. I mean, the best way I've been trying to explain to people now is, I don't ever not see spirit.
Okay.
Really?
That
Wow.
doesn't make a difference where I'm at. But I mean, it was bad there. But when I was there, uh, that was I started in 2013. I've always seen spirit my entire life, but this ability was coming on for me. It was like I got woken up to it and turned on in 2017. So I was developing it while I was still working there. I actually
Okay. Okay.
developed one part of it where I was told from another medium I was being touched on the face for yes and no answers. And me, I was like, is that what that is? I thought I was having a bug walk across,
Right.
brushing off my face. You know, I would see the archangels around me during the day, but it was in the summertime when this was happening. So I thought it was just steam coming off my body.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it wasn't. If you've ever seen someone smoking a cigarette and you see little petals of smoke coming up, that
Yeah.
that's what I see around me all the time. I see it right now. But
Oh, really?
and it doesn't turn off. It never goes away. None
Wow.
of it. None.
Have you ever had it where you met someone and they did pass away and then you met them as a spirit?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering,
But
not anyone personal, just like in
yeah.
passing or like
Yeah,
it's
or I have a woman who well, there was this one woman I did a reading for. I used to do a live show on Facebook until Facebook ruined everything. But yeah,
yep.
but yeah, because it's a piece of shit. But anyway, so but I do a lot of business on her. But so she came to me and she was asking a question about her sister. And I said, well, I know you cannot feel your sister around you, correct? And she said, yeah, that's why I'm asking the question because I don't feel anything around me from her. And I said, the next thing I said, well, uh, I always tell people don't ask questions that you don't want answers for because when I get you an answer, it's the truth, whether you like it or not, it's the truth. And if you really don't want the answer, don't
Yeah.
ask the question. And she said, no, I want the answer. I said, your sister did not cross over into the light. In other words, she did not go home to heaven. She remained
Oh,
here as an earthbound spirit. But if you give me her name and her birthday and all that, all the information you can about her, I can call out to her and see if I can do something about that. So she did. I called out to her sister, and immediately and then I keep my room darked out so I can see everything. And I saw her come in front of me, and then I said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to talk to my sister. I wanted to tell her something." I said, "Like unfinished business," and she said, "Yeah," because they understand me and I understand them. Uh, and uh, and I said, "There is no unfinished business. If you didn't get it done, it's because you're just not meant to." But you are to move on. But now I understand where you are. You stayed here because you wanted to tell her, but you can't do that because she can't get the message. I said, "What's the message you want to tell her? I'll relay it to her." And she said, "Well, when I was alive," she knew where she was. She said, "When I was alive, I was cheating with her boyfriend." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said,
Wow.
"Now,
oh,
now that I know that, you need to cross over and go home because where you are is not where you're meant to be." I said, "God wants all of his children to go home. When you get there, you'll realize that." Okay. She said, "Okay." So she did. And then I emailed the sister and then I talked to her and I said, "Look, your sister was here because she said she was trying to get a message to you that she was cheating with your boyfriend." She messages me back and says, "Oh, I know all about that."
oh,
And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, I do know your boyfriend passed away and he crossed over." And she, "Yeah, he passed away." I said, "Yeah, he crossed over. Now your sister is crossing over. So give it a couple of weeks and then you'll be able to feel her around you because they when you go into heaven, they give you like what we would consider 2 week period time to come back and say goodbyes to people. And you know how people say, 'Oh, I saw them at the end of my bed,' or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like." Yeah.
yeah.
And so they give them a little bit of a period to say goodbye to particular ones because everyone who says, "Oh, I missed them when they passed away, and I had something to tell them and all that, and I miss it," or and what do I do now? When they leave up out of their body, they can see everybody and throughout the entire world, and they can hone in on you, and they know how you felt about them at that point. Just let it go. It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she let that go, and then emailed me a couple weeks later, and she said, "Yeah, I feel her around me now," and she's sending me messages, and she was picking up on it, and I told her what else to do from there. But yeah,
Uh,
Awesome.
it's the way
I
it
want
is.
to I want to go back a little bit, way back to your childhood. Is this something that was happening in childhood, or were you experiencing it in a different way? Like I know you were seeing ghosts and apparitions and stuff like that, but you
Yeah.
couldn't communicate with them, right? Like it was just you just
No,
witnessed them.
well, I could have, but I didn't know I could have.
Okay.
But again, when this all happened to me, basically right before I was turning 50, then I was hearing more around that time. And then I eventually developed it. But at that time when I was younger, no, I didn't know that I could talk to them. I mean, I remember seeing spirit back as far as when I was 3 years old. But yeah, I've experienced a lot of things, even in my 20s, 30s, 40s. Um, I wouldn't say it was nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was in a rock band and I came home from a gig, this was in the 80s. I had big hair and I had zebra striped spandex on. I thought I was cool, but not so much. But I laid down in bed and when I did, something laid down next to me about 4 times. And then that fifth time when it did, I rolled over to see again what was there. And when I did, whatever was there picked up the blanket that I had on top of me, it brought it up to the ceiling, it shook it above me, and then it dropped it on top of me. And then for the next 2 years after that, I slept on my mom and dad's couch downstairs.
I remember reading that. I'd be frightened if that happened.
Yeah,
I,
that'd
I
be
I'm telling you, I was trying to scream. I was like, and just nothing would come out. I was like, just looking at that thing, and I couldn't get anything out. And then finally, when it dropped, I was like, just
It's like sleep paralysis almost.
almost sleep
Just
paralysis, but there was nothing holding me down. I
yeah.
was
right.
like,
Yeah.
"Hmm." But when you're having a sleep paralysis, you're having a spiritual thing.
That actually happened to me not too long ago, and it was actually really um it came out of nowhere, and it was for a good, I think, 30 seconds it happened,
It,
and
it
I
was a
was
it,
fully awake
it
and
was
I
a
could not move.
it was a man.
It was a man.
Yeah, it was a man who was there.
Oh
Hmm.
man.
Uh,
It was so shocking.
his
I
name was
remember waking up my wife.
his
You
name was
know,
Robert. Robert was
Robert.
yeah. I'm
I don't
telling you,
know.
I'm
Yeah.
connected. I'm connected to everything. So as soon as you said it, they put it into my mind, and they put it was a man, and they put his name into my head.
Robert's my
Wow.
dad. So yeah,
Interesting.
that's crazy.
So,
But
so,
yeah, go on, Ian.
so as a child, did you ever talk to your parents? Did they witness all this stuff, or was this thing that was mainly you?
Yeah, no, they witnessed it. There was one time, I don't know if I put this in the book. My brother owned our house after my mom and dad and I left and moved to Delaware from
Yeah, I
New
think
Jersey.
you mentioned that. Yeah.
My brother owned the house, and he had some friends who went to his house, were knocking on the door,
Hmm.
and my brother was not there. He was camping at his campground, and there was a big picture window out in front of the house, and the guy kept knocking on the door, and they stood in front of the window, and they saw people walking around inside of the house. So they called him on his cell phone, and when he did, my brother said, "I'm not home. I'm at the campground."
Oh,
So who the hell was walking around the house?
Right. Well.
Yeah, there was those spirits. Yeah, I had a friend come to the house when I was a kid because he wanted to see it for himself, and nothing really happened until we were eating some sandwiches in the kitchen, and the radio just turned on, and the volume went all the way up to fucking 100,
oh,
and he's like, "Holy fuck!" He ran out of that house and turned so white like Casper the Ghost, and but every time we were at school, he would tell the story to everybody, but
Right.
I would sit there and laugh to myself because he turned whiter than Casper a ghost, you know, because he wasn't used to it. But I mean, I just walked over and turned it down and off.
sure, he never
Wow.
came back over.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point I was like 10, so I mean, it just didn't bother me because
Were you
we got so used to it. It
right?
just, it's like I explain to people. People ask me how do I get used to my ability. It's like when we're children and our mom and dad feed us green beans, and then 30 years later you love green beans. Why?
Right.
Used to it.
I still don't like them,
Yeah.
but that's.
Yeah, I can't stand liver and onions either, so.
So as a child, were you religious at this point, or
Yeah, I was brought up Catholic, but by the time I was around 5 or 6, my mom said to me, do you still want to go to church?" Because she would bring me there, and I said, "No, because I was falling asleep all the time. It was
yeah?
boring." So, but I did have to do something when I was young called a Holy Communion, and that was a bunch of bullcrap too.
So you never talked to like a priest or anything about what you were experiencing?
No, why do I do that? You ever hear of a priest too?
No. I guess, I guess that's a I guess that's point taken.
Would,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's got
would
a
you like
point.
to, would you like to hear a Catholic joke?
Sure.
How do you get a nun pregnant?
I don't know.
How's that?
You dress her up like an altar boy.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, but
oh man.
but it's the truth, man. My sister, when my sister and my brother had gone to Catholic school, my mom pulled them out because my sister was having so much trouble with the nuns. They were beating the shit out of her.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah. They take her out back and beat her with rubber hoses and stupid shit and smack their hands with rulers and stuff like that. And
How do you?
you use a rubber hose on somebody, it doesn't leave any marks.
That's true.
I didn't
Good
think
tip.
about that.
They have power and control. Power and control that they use all the time. This is what religion does and stuff like
Sure.
that. I mean, I was watching this TV show, and they were showing how back in the day when cowboys and Indians was pretty much over, and they were taking all the Indian girls and taking them to Christian schools and turning them into Christians. And while they were doing that, they were torturing the shit out of them to turn them into Christians. How do you justify that? How,
Yeah.
Uh, you
you
don't.
Can't.
know, you can justify it because in that religion or in those books, it says if you say it in the name of God, it's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
That was
that's abuse.
yeah, and it's more like on that part was brainwashing into
Yeah, well, they still do that. You know, these are
yeah.
the people who want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. How
Sure.
did they know?
Yes.
How did they know about 10% back then?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
books and scriptures were kings and queens. That's how they know about it.
Yeah.
There was one story from your book that caught my attention for some reason. It was your sister was younger and she was at her desk doing some sort of work, and the book fell
Oh no,
and it was
that was,
floating.
that was my niece.
Oh, your niece. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
my brother was there with her, and she was doing a book report, and there was a huge big book about that big, on the desk, and my brother bumped into it. When he did, it fell off, and when it fell off, it stopped right above her foot, and my brother and her just kind of stared at it for a second, and then she pulled her foot away, and when she did, the
I
book hit the
mean,
ground.
that would be enough for me to get the fuck out.
That was a bone breaker book right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Could have
Yeah.
crushed your foot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the ones that we had in our house, because we lived in New Jersey in this town called National Park, and it has a park there. We used to, as kids, call it the monument because it had this big tall monument. They still had all the trenches that were dug there for when they fought, and they had cannon there and all that stuff. And this is where the Hessians fought. And there was a hospital on there as well, small hospital. I had these like little round cannonballs in there. But if you got up close to them, you jumped the fence, you could see they nailed them into there because, they wouldn't stick there forever. But
Yeah.
but there was all, and this is the Delaware River, so all these ships, they had all these planks from ships and all that other crap. But my sister told me about a year or so ago that they did a big dig there and they found like hundreds of bodies buried there.
Wow.
Because you're not going to bury just one body at a time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, in all actuality, everybody gets buried and
Yeah.
everybody dies. We just do. Not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. When it's your time to go, it just is. I mean,
Yeah.
130,000 people die every day. You're just waiting a freaking turn. That's all.
Right.
But because they were such a mass grave there, then it was not our home, just our home, but the homes within that area were all experiencing these types of these
Oh,
what was
okay. So it was a neighborhood event.
yeah, and so we talked amongst each other too as kids and as family members and stuff like that. So again, it became normal for us.
It probably helped also that that was the case, so you didn't think you were
Yeah,
fucking nuts. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, at that point I didn't think I was, but by the time I was turning 50, when it came through that way, my wife went away on vacation for 2 weeks, and then I saw everything you can imagine that was going on in my house that was happening in a scary movie. That was unnerving. And then when my wife came back, she told me about her adventures. I told her about mine, and at that point, she started questioning our relationship because she thought, I'm diabetic. She thought maybe my medications were causing some type of
mhm.
diabetic psychosis, but within 3 days, she started seeing a lot of the same things I was. Now, she doesn't see everything I do. I don't know. I know a lot of mediums who don't see spirit at all.
Yeah.
When I explain it to them, I don't explain it to them so much anymore because when I do, it's like talking to someone and all I get is that deer in the headlights look because they don't know it because they've never seen
Yeah.
it or heard. So, when I explained all that stuff to her, I mean, I saw green and red mist pouring out of the walls like a witch's cauldron. I saw 7 foot skeletons walking around the house. I saw
Wow.
the famed Hat Man appear in my basement, but I still see him like once a month now, and he's not actually in spirit. He's in another dimension. He comes here to watch us to see how we do what we do with spirituality because they don't have it in his realm. But I saw this cloud form above my bed, and it opened up into this like wall of like window of blackness, and I saw these two skeleton arms come out. Now I noticed weird things. So,
Hmm.
and this was weird, but so when it came out and the two arms came out, the arms didn't have any hands, and then it
Okay.
pulled out the body and it pulled out the head, but the eyes were
Red.
big of the skull, and it was looking around the room, and they're looking at me, and then I started talking to it, and then it went from in front of me to above me, then behind me, and then it just disappeared.
Oh man.
When
The
you when
skeleton
you when you
was that?
see these things like skeletons and stuff like that, do they appear just as real if they were standing there, or do they appear like translucent, or they?
Well, so my wife and I, when we were experiencing all this after she figured out, hey, this guy's not fucking crazy. Um, we had this one camera in our home that could see, had night vision because her son was bringing over some friends that we didn't appreciate. So we turn it on And when they would all walk in the house, we'd say, "Hey, Chris, what are you doing here with all these kids?" And they're like, he'd be like, "Oh shit!" And they'd run out of the house. So, so we put the camera on in my room, in my bedroom, and then my wife went out of the bedroom, and I went to lay down, and then I thought my wife had come back in the room because I felt somebody put their hands on me. So I rolled over, and when I did, there was a 7-foot skeleton standing there with his hands on me. Uh,
Wow.
and then I sat up and I said, "What do you want? What are you doing here? What do you want with me?" And when I did, he just kind of backed up and went right into the wall and disappeared. But he was as plain as daylight. I can see you,
Wow.
and I see a lot of them like that.
Yeah.
Uh, But I see a lot of them who are uh they're kind of see through just a little bit, and the ones I see they're just a little bit see through. I know where they are. They have crossed over. They look more like us.
Okay.
Ones who are very see through.
Mhm.
Uh, I see them sometimes in full color, but a lot of times because I see into the low energy realm, or what we call earthbound, but it's a low energy realm. When I see them at first, I see them how they were, like you and I, and then I get a quick flash of that, and then I see them as they are there, and they are actually their complexion and everything is blue, and because there's a black background because there's nothing there. It's just beings and the energies and stuff, but I can see sort of through the blue of them. I can see through them, but I can see their complexion. I can see if they have crow's feet, and I can tell what nationality they are, if they're black, if they're white, if they're Asian, if they're Indian, whatever. I can see everything with that. But I don't just see people. I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish. I see other beings from other places. I
Can
know that.
can animals communicate with you in any way, or do you just see them?
Is
Oh
it a
no,
feeling?
I hear everything in English. So if they talk
Really?
to me, it's English.
Oh wow.
Oh,
If I see another being, I've seen some beings one time, 7 of them standing in front of me. The only thing that I can equate it to here would like from Star Wars, Chewbacca. I
Uh-huh.
saw I saw 7 of them standing in front of me talking, and then I asked them if they wanted to cross over into the light, and they said no, we're okay. We're just having a conversation.
Just hanging
Okay,
out.
yeah, yeah, because I mean it's not great there, but it's not wonderful. There's a lot, as like we have negative energies here, piece of crap people.
Mhm.
You can get away from here. You can just walk away. You don't have to talk to them because you don't. And because I don't get angry over anyone else's anger. Why should I? So,
right.
but, but, uh, but there, it's very hard to get away from them. So when I see people, that's why I see a lot of them in groups or like sometimes I see them and it looks like it's a parade. And I mean, I can't count that high. Millions. It's just I see it off all the way down, along in the distance, like a long parade, and that comes up, and they're all just walking together. What looks like down a street, but there's no street because there's no buildings there, and they're just going,
Wow.
and they're
It's like
going, they're walking to nowhere, but they're staying together because they want to stay away from the negative energies, and they all have clothes on.
Hmm.
They have clothes on because they are pure energy. They can manipulate themselves to look like
Right.
whatever they feel
okay.
at. So, but even the ones that cross over into heaven, man, they're full of energy. And I saw once that they showed it to me. They show it to me once in a while, but one time it was like I was standing in a building and I saw buildings, and it was like I was looking through a window, and I saw this woman walk past. I still remember it like plain as day, and this was 6 years ago, and and she was walking down the street with a little boy, and he had on like a little pantsuit, and she had on this like big Elizabethan type dress, and she was walking down the sidewalk, and it was like a sidewalk that just never ended.
Wow.
But I was not meant to be there, so that's why
Mm-hmm.
I was looking from inside this window. She walked right past me and looked at me. I mean, they all knew who I am, so because I'm here for something different. But yeah, they just walk around, but they do physical things there, but it's different. Like I saw them looking, I saw them on something that looked like a Ferris wheel, but it wasn't a Ferris wheel. It's just sort of different. I saw two guys driving something that looked similar to a car, but it was shaped oddly, but it looked like a car.
Hmm.
But I saw some people there who don't even look like regular people. They look like cartoons.
Yeah. One thing you did in your book that I thought was pretty cool was your wife actually wrote a section in
Mhm.
in her own words about you guys. What
Yeah.
was that conversation like when you first told her that, hey, I got this thing?
Well, her and I, when we met, I mean, I used to tell her some of the stories of when I was young. So, and I do that with everybody, um, but when it really came to fruition, when she came back from that vacation and started seeing some of the same stuff, and then there was an experience that she had that was also almost detrimental to her life. Um,
Hmm.
it was, I mean, yeah, it was unnerving. We had the paranormal group come to the house. Um, they got so frightened they never came back. I mean, it wasn't the information that they got was not scary,
Mhm.
but but they said it was so much.
Do you
Do
think
you think
it
it was like they weren't as advanced paranormal like ghost hunters, or is it just they just were
They had a,
really just
they had
freaked out from it? Just
yeah, freaked out. They had a decent website and they had said they'd been doing it for like, I don't know, like almost like 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So they had been doing it. They had all the equipment. I mean, one guy had a video camera, the other girl was taking digital photos
sure,
with
yeah.
like night vision on it or something. Um, Whenever she took a picture of me or someone else with me, I had 15, 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. When it
that's
was
crazy to
when it was
see
just
that many.
yeah, when it was a picture of someone else, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they set up the little boxes with the lights on it and the wires
Right, yeah.
and I said because I used to watch the ghost shows. I don't watch them anymore because they're bullshit. Um, I have a friend who was actually on the one who was on.
Is it the Zach back? Was he on
Yeah, I don't want to
Ghost
say.
Advent? Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say his name, but they told him when this my friend of mine was on there, they told him they wanted him to point out all the mean negative energies. They didn't want anything else.
Right.
And
Hmm.
they basically cut him out of the show. But so that they I said, so what's that? And he rubs his hand on my couch and he waves his hand above it and they all bloop, light up. And I was like, oh, well, okay. He said the static electricity, that's what spirit make. And I said, okay. Maybe you think so. I don't know. But and so yeah, whenever I walked past any of those things, they lit up like a freaking Christmas tree. And so, but it was when they used that obelisk, that spirit box. That's what really
Right.
freaked me out the most. Because they asked when they first turned it on, there was a wrong button they hit. Uh,
Hmm.
they were in the dark, and I didn't put this in the book, but they turned it on and it started speaking everything in French. And he
Wow.
said, "Oh, wait a minute, I have it on the wrong setting." So he clicks it back, and then immediately it says Wendy, Michael, Paul, Helen, unique, light, special, energy. It said road like a street. When it said road, a car went past the house, and I was like, "What the hell?" Because I'm
Right.
pretending to sleeping.
Yeah.
It's when they ask questions that's when it really freaked them out. I mean, there was some other shit in the house that really freaked them out, but this was because they asked questions and they timed it. It was exactly 10 minutes. And every time they asked a question, it just answered right away. There was no
Yeah.
pause. There was
Wow.
no, oh, let's see if we hear something. Literally, it said
Just direct. Just
direct answers. They asked, are you here to harm Daniel? No, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Daniel is the light. And
Do
when
you
it's
think
that'd be so comforting to hear too on your end. I would think, as in like you hearing that.
when they yeah, and yes and no, but when it said Daniel is the light, what the hell?
That's when.
yeah, what's
What's
that
the
mean?
hell supposed to mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could see what.
and I was freaked out, but I was like, this is cool. So when they finally walked out and then they had their little huddle and I went out there, I said to my wife, what the heck's going on here? I don't know. There's something's. So when I turned around, that's when I was excited because I was like, you guys got all that, right? I mean, because at that point, my wife and I were now validation of knowing, like we talked about earlier, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is going on. And they are seeing it. They witness everything. They have it down. They have it recorded, everything.
Do
But
you
then
think do
he
you
turned
think
around. What's that?
do you think they would have had that much activity if you weren't in the house? Or do you
No.
think that was because you were there that they had that much activity?
As I always tell everybody, if you want your house to be haunted, invite me in. It will be in 10 minutes. I'm telling you, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
They follow
No,
me. They follow me everywhere. And that's what we figured out. It wasn't the house. It's everywhere I go.
Okay, yeah.
They are.
Do you have a lot of ghost hunter shows or people doing it contact you, try to get you to work with them? And
Um, my wife was going to a Reiki thing one time, and then she had uh somebody in the class said, "Hey, is there anybody here knows someone who is a medium who can communicate with spirit?" And she was standing right next to my wife, and my wife said, "My husband." So I was supposed to start working with them, but then it was right around the time that we were going to move, so we just moved, and it never happened. But I've never I haven't approached one. I didn't approach them; they approached me,
Mhm.
but I've never approached them because I don't get with the ghost hunters because most of them don't know what the hell they're doing.
Right,
Mhm.
The other ones who do a little bit don't do anything to help those spirits. They
right.
don't
Yeah.
fuss them over. They don't have respect for them. They treat them like shit. They laugh about things. I mean, when you go on the TV shows, how many freaking seasons do you have to have of every single show that you come around the corner and something makes a noise and you go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never go. I just see
And
it walk by and I just do this.
yep. And it's more of them aggravating them to get in a reaction than it is to just be
Correct.
accepting that they're there.
You don't have to aggravate something that's
Yeah.
there already.
Yeah.
Wherever they are, they just are. So in other words, the way I explain it to people is when you wake up in the morning, you do your daily routine, you shit, shower, and shave, and then you go get some breakfast, and you get ready for work, and then you go to work and you do your job, and maybe you don't do your job because you're a lazy piece of crap or something, and you come home and you have some dinner, you watch some TV, and you go to sleep and you wake it up and do it all over again. Spirit is around you 24/7. They're watching everything you do. They see everything you do. They don't take bathroom breaks. They don't sleep. They don't eat. They don't breathe. They don't pay
They're
bills.
there.
They just there. Where they are, they just are. They don't really care what you're doing because they don't have to do what you do anymore. So they are now living life uninterrupted.
You mentioned that they don't help them cross over. Is there a way that they can actually help a spirit cross over, or does it take
Yes.
someone like you? Or
No, they can do it themselves. They just don't. But the only thing you need to do is tell the spirit to look for the light. And they will see other spirit around them, and it's kind of hard for them to see, but it is off in the distance, and you can just see this kind of like light shining in the background of everything. And then they
With
have,
with you saying that, I don't think I've ever heard any of them in any show say that before.
I said it. I talked about it in my book when the first time I did. I used to do the crossings one at a time, but it was so exhausting. I found out I could actually do it a lot of them at a time, and I was crossing thousands of them at a time. So when I did that, it just came out of my mouth and said, "Does anybody want to cross over?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Walk up to the light, move into the light, and pass through the light, and you shall be received into heaven as one of God's children, because God wants all his children to come home. It's time to come home, children." And when I said that first time, I was like, "Where did that come from?"
Oh
I
yeah.
I mean, I'd never thought about it.
Or
It
saying those words in that order, it just came to
right.
you
It
to say
just
it.
came out. Yes, it just came out. And I was like, okay. And then I said to the archangels, I said, did I say that? And I get touched for yes and no. This is yes and that's no. It feels like a tear running down my face. And I get touched across here. It feels like blood or a finger going across my forehead. And I got touched no. I said, did you say that? And I got touched yes. I said, okay, no problem. So now that's what I say from now on. And
I
anyone can do that. Just tell them to walk up to the light, move into the light. Walk through the light, Carolyn. Yeah.
there was a spot in your book where you talked about where you believed you actually talked to Jesus. Now, is that
Which
you
day do
actually
which day do you want to talk about? Because that's every day. He doesn't
okay?
go. He's standing right next to me right now. He has his left hand on my right
So
shoulder.
he doesn't use the angels that you speak of. He uses himself
Correct.
to talk to you. Okay.
Yes, he's not an archangel or an angel. He Jesus Christ was here only one time. And he was
Okay.
talking to God, and God was talking to him because God sent him to be a representation of God So
Mhm.
they were having that kind of communication. And because he was that and in touch with his soul that much, that's why he could heal people. He could do the things he do. Now they did, make it a lot bigger than what he was actually doing, but he could do those things. But what he was trying to tell us is we could all do those things. We just had to get away from power and control. He was telling us that we could all live as free men and women. We could share everything in the world because there's enough of everything to share. We could take care of each other where you could be a doctor and I could be a farmer and I could give you some food and you could heal my wounds and we could call it a day. We don't have to exchange money or power and control and greed and all that stuff. But the people who were in control, the rulers, the kings and queens, and religion, because they don't want to tell you that part, because they don't want the second coming of Christ, because he would take all their power away. But they said, this guy's, we got to get him off the streets because he's got followers. They're taking him away from us. He's
Right.
taking away our power and control and all of our money, the taxes we're getting from that, and they're following him. So they put him on a cross and they tortured and murdered him in front of everybody to make an example out of him. So he did not die for your sins because you don't sin, because we are all created from God, from a part of him, which makes our soul a divine soul, not just Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is my brother as well. He's your brother as well. He was just here representing God. That's all he was doing. But again, he was trying to help us to get back to that point where we could take care of each other, and because
Mhm.
he was not the first one to be on the cross, and he was not the last one to be on the cross. So I always ask everybody, why would you want to wear a cross around your neck? Because you're wearing a form of punishment around your neck. And they want you to wear it not to remind you of Jesus, but to remind you of how much control and power they have over you.
Hmm.
Because it's bullshit.
It's a good way to put it. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is the way. You know who told me that? Jesus.
There was an interview done in 2001. It was with a pretty controversial radio host. And he made a comment that there was going to be planes flying into the World Trade Center and we were going to blame a man named Osama bin Laden. And obviously, a few
Well,
months later, that happened. And there
that
was,
that could have happened anyway because Osama bin Laden used to work for the CIA.
okay.
And they were supplying him with all the weapons and stuff like that. So they probably knew that already.
Well, I guess the point of the question would be he did an interview years
But
later, and
that was not a plane that landed into the Pentagon. That was a missile.
that's very possible.
Yeah, they found no wreckage of a plane.
Right.
They found wreckage of everything else, but not that one. But go ahead.
So he did an interview years later, and the I think Tucker Carlson interviewed him, and he asked him, he goes, why did you say that? Like, what made you think that was going to happen? And his answer was the reason I brought this up. His answer was, I don't know, I just kind of felt it, and I felt like I needed to say it. Is there
And
are there people that in this world that you think have these abilities and they don't either know how to use them or use them correctly, or
Yeah,
maybe they're
there's a lot of them.
psychic or
Yeah, they have it, and I have people who come to me who are also mediums, but have a similar ability that I had, because not all mediums communicate with archangels, and there's a lot of them who say they do, but they're not actually doing it. They might be talking to angels, but angels ain't talking to them. They
right.
just they use that idea so that they can get more clients. I'm not about that. I'm just trying to help people. But I have some who come to me who have similar ability because I talk to them on this podcast, and when I talk about it, they go, "That's the guy I need to talk to because he's going to tell me the truth." So they come to me, and then I help them with moving forward on that. But I'm like a recruiter for that because I had a lot of stuff happen to me in order for me to get where I'm at.
Mhm.
I basically, my body purged. Um, Being touched by an angel is not, to say the least, pleasant. When it happens, the very next day, it was coming out of both ends.
Wow.
Mhm.
And it did that every 2 weeks, twice a month for 3 years.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I said yes to that. That's what in my book, I sat down and
I
talked.
remember that.
And
Mm.
when I said yes to that, that's what was going to happen. But I was ready for that because I was at rock bottom. I didn't know where else to turn. And so I turned to God, but he gave me this and he wanted me to turn to him. And I did. So, but when I said yes to it, that's what I said yes to. Now, so But these people, I have what I call the big talk with them. I explain everything that needs to take place. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke anything. I don't have any tattoos. They tell me not to get tattoos. In order to be clear,
Hmm.
I have to be clear to get clear messages.
Interesting.
And I get messages all day long. It doesn't turn off. In the beginning, I was getting messages like 5% of the day. And I don't even remember how much I mentioned in the book, but I get them 90% of the day now.
Wow.
So
how do you live your life when you're
I'm
just
only
have
I'm, I'm only 10% me now. I'm
yeah.
no longer the man I used to be or the person I used to be.
How do you go
Not,
on vacation with your wife and just try to enjoy the beach or whatever, or just relax and
Where's
well, I live in Arizona, no beach. So
uh,
was a beach in Delaware, but yeah, I ride motorcycles. I do ride, but even when I'm riding down the street. I see them here with me, and they take care of me. I'll be riding down the road, thinking in my mind, because when it was long ago when I was driving a truck, and I was talking to myself, saying something to myself, because everybody does. We're not crazy. Um, when I said something in my mind, I got touched. Yes, and I was like, wait a minute. Did you guys touch me? Yes. And I got yes. I said, but I was talking to myself and I heard no and got touched no. I said, so I'm never alone.
so they're there all the time.
Yes, they're there all the time.
Wow.
And it's now to the point where their thought is my thought. So everything that I get from them is my thought. But there are some things that they tell me that I asked for reassurance. So I ask them, did you just say that? And then they touch me for yes or no. Because
Wow.
I get touched by regular spirit all the time, but it's like a tingle. But
Yeah.
they're just walking up to me because they're trying to figure out what the hell I am. But because they don't see me like you see me. I
Right.
look
hmm
I look like a light bulb to them because
Okay.
I have the brightest soul on the face of this earth.
Hmm.
Because the light that I tell everybody to go into is me.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm the light into heaven. My soul's been here the longest.
How old
You
were you when you really got this under control to the point to where you could use it the way
uh,
that you're using it now?
I found out I was this light thing because one of my guides kept coming through when we were channeling. They kept calling me she kept calling me her guiding light, and that's what it meant. I just didn't find out. It was about 3.5 years into this journey. I was already a medium, so 4 years ago.
Wow.
But but my abilities progress all the time.
Hmm.
There was one time, I think I put it in the book. It's so I because I'm so much them now and not me. I don't remember what's in my book. People do say things, and sometimes I got to reverse back to the
Right.
book. So, but there was a time. So I woke up in the stream, and I saw this girl in the dream. She had her hand above a table, and she's going like this, and a piece of paper was moving around on the table, and I
hmm
kept hearing this word cantations, cantations, cantations. I didn't know what it meant. So when I woke up in the dream, I walked into my wife's office and I said, "Can you look something up for me?" She said, "What?" I said, "I told her about the dream." I said, "I heard something cantations. What is that?" She looked it up. She said, "Incantations means magic." And I was like, "Yeah, but it wasn't magic. She was moving her hand like this, and the piece of paper was moving around. So I guess you would consider that magic." So I left her office and I said, "I'm going to get something to eat." She said, "There's a bowl of cherries in the fridge," and I said, "Oh, cool." I opened the fridge, and when I opened the fridge, I just looked at it and thought to myself, in a pure thought, "I want those cherries," and the damn bowl just flew out and flew right into my arms. I was like,
Wow.
I remember reading
Yeah.
that in the book.
I
It
was like,
was near the end.
I was like, "What the fuck, man?"
And I remember you saying in your book too.
I wanted to try it again. It didn't happen.
I was wondering because when I read that, I was actually talking to Ian about that today about
Because
cantation.
if it did happen, I'd sit my wife on a broom and say, "Hey, look, a witch, everybody."
No. So you also said that like you had you could remote view and is that just something that came to you and but you never really actually I'd say honed in and kept going with that, like channeling it, or is it just something that you did once and then it went away?
You
So I
want me?
remember.
Do you want to hear the good part or the bad part?
Both.
I guess we can hear both.
So it's for me with my abilities, the way that they do progress, it's like having cable and then you get extra channels.
Right.
Okay.
That just came in. I was watching TV with my wife and I closed my eyes because I was tired. And when I did, I saw something happening. And then I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And she's like, what? I said, put this on pause. I'm watching something here. And I described everything to her. It was just playing in real time. Um, it's what I saw that was strange. But but I would see it every now and then.
Okay.
And it's just like I close my eyes and it's already playing. Uh,
Hmm.
the one time I knew that it was remote viewing is I was in my room meditating back in Delaware, and when I had my eyes closed, I saw it turn on, and it was my consciousness outside of my own house while I was in my house. And I could see my truck and my wife's car, and I could hear the kids down the street and see them playing. And then I saw a car go by, but from inside my house, I heard it go by, and I could hear the kids playing. It's that when I saw that, but and now I have it like this morning. I was watching, or the last night I was watching it. It just turns on, and I was watching through the eyes of someone else, and they were sitting on their couch watching cartoons.
Wow. I've been really
It's
into
What
watch
what
list.
what that means though is I don't know, and they tell me they don't want me to get control of it because there's nothing I need to do with it. So
okay. Yeah.
I focus on what I can do,
Right.
but I have caught other people remote viewing me. I did catch a guy.
Oh.
Oh
I
wow. That'd be cool.
caught a guy last year. He was remote viewing me. I had a conversation with him. He was in Texas and he was doing it at an air base, and he was using technology to do it. He couldn't actually do it. He was using technology. So the technology that you see on Star Trek and stuff like that, we
Hmm.
we have that, but the government will not release it to us because they want to keep it for themselves, so they can do these types of things. So this guy was watching me, and I said, "Hey, buddy," and he looked at me strange. I said, "Yeah, I can see you, and now I know I can see you, and you can see me." And then as I explained to him, I said, "I know what you're looking for. You're looking for the smoking gun because you want to know how I do what I do. They want to know why I am the light, and they want to know
Hmm.
how they can use that, and they want to know why archangels and why God has talked to me 8 times, and why I've seen him 6 times, and why he's touched me 6 times. Um, so they want to know how they can use that.
Well,
Or
it's crazy because the government does like
right.
from things I've read, they use remote viewing. Like
Oh,
some people.
I got a
Oh,
big
I,
story for you that. I got a real big story for you that. But so I was talking to this guy, and I said, I can't teach you how to do this because no one else has what I have. And he's just shaking his head. And I said, so I can't show you how to do this. I mean, if you're a medium, you have abilities, or if you have remote viewing, you have abilities, but no one else has this light thing. It's just in one because there only needs to be one light to shine all the time. When you guys are in your bodies and you leave and you go home to heaven, because if you're here now, you've been to heaven a bunch of times. You just had to come back because you didn't fulfill your purpose. But you go home to heaven and you come back into a new body. My soul doesn't do that. When the body terminates, it goes into another body automatically. It's being born. So it never leaves. It has to remain here all the time so it can shine. So all spirit can see it, hear it, feel it. So they know where to go. So it has to be here all the time. My soul's been here since the beginning of time. You know how
So,
fucking long that is? A long
so,
time.
so
So,
yeah.
every time you start over, you have to go through the whole process again of, 20, 30 years of learning and honing and
yeah.
adapting.
Well, sometimes wake up earlier to it and sometimes I don't. I was just woken up at this time because it
Right.
was this
The
time.
time.
For
But
whatever
yeah,
reason. Yeah.
the time before me, it was my grandfather. It wasn't he. My mom explained it to him to me, and then I asked about it, and they said they explained it more, but it's more detail. But my grandfather had this, but I never met him
Hmm.
because when I was about to be born, he wanted to know when I was going to be born. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and he wanted to know when they were going to be born too. But my mom
Hmm.
said he was really excited to see me because he knew. But what he didn't know was he was getting ready to come to the hospital and he had a heart attack and died. And then his soul left his body and came into mine.
Wow.
Man.
So do
Oh
you
yeah.
think that you guys are the only ones in your family that have this, or do you think it's been passed down from generation to generation, maybe to
I don't know who told you that, but it doesn't get passed down to anybody.
no,
You
it's
have,
just
you have it as an individual with your
okay.
soul. I got some, yeah, I mean, kids wake up with it.
Mhm.
You wake up in a baby body going, what? And your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. And then they raise you and they teach you the ways of the world.
Maybe
Throwing the
that's
book.
why they're crying. Who the fuck are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Oh shit, I'm back here again.
Yeah.
You know? But they teach you the ways of the world, throwing a bucket of bleach over the top of you and takes all that purity away. And they grow up and then they learn the ways of the world and it goes away, it fades. But they do have it. You hear people all the time, oh, my kid has an imaginary friend. No, your kid sees spirit. And you're so freaking stupid that you could get answers from your kid, but you want to tell them stop lying.
Yeah.
But they tell them
Yep.
that because this is what they've been taught
Sure.
too. Because the Bible says you're not allowed to talk to mediums. You guys are sinning right now.
That's when we do that every day.
Yeah.
This
Actually,
is
you
the least worst thing we've done today. So
Yeah.
actually you don't. You don't sin at all because if you're breaking their rules, that's what they call sin. But you would have to be living by their rules, and no one lives exactly by the Bible
yeah, I
because
promise you that's not
there's rape and
happening.
murder. There's rape, murder, pedophilia, all kinds of stuff in there, and nobody lives by that. They only live by the pieces that they want to live. But
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
so they
That's my problem with
pick and choose.
religion is
Yeah.
yeah, you pick and choose.
Yeah, pick and choose. But yeah, you come into this world, and yeah, I was just meant to, it's just certain times. Sometimes you wake up early with it, sometimes you don't. And I've had it every single time, but you know, I use it to the capacity that they want me to use it to. And
Yeah.
that's what I do. Yeah.
Do they give you a guidelines like this is what we want you to do? And this is or is it just kind of unwritten and you just know?
I wake up in the morning, I look at my pill bottle. No. Put it down. The next one. No. Put it down. Pick up the next one. Yes. Okay. That's what I do. I
Wow.
ask questions for everything. Now, they told me through channeling that I was going to move out west. Back when I was with that group of women, those other mediums.
Hmm.
And then they told me I was going to move to New Mexico. Um, Even Jesus told me I channeled with a woman who I just met in one day, and he said I was going to move to New Mexico. But then it was about a year before we got here. They changed it to Arizona because things change.
Yeah.
And I said, where in Arizona? And they said, you'll know. What do you mean I'll know? You'll know. I wake up the next day, honey, get me a map of Arizona. I'm going to show you where we're going to move. Puts it in front of me, take my finger, close my eyes, and start touching places. No, 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 no. Yes. We're moving to Sierra Vista, Arizona. We put our house on the market and bought a house in a week. Now, what's here in Arizona in Sierra Vista is the largest intelligence base in the United States called Fort Huachuca. And what did they do back in the 1960s and 70s here at Fort Huachuca? They had a remote viewing program, and they also did experiments on psychic mediums.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been big
And
into remote viewing lately, and I've been reading a
yeah.
lot of the stuff about the 40s and 50s, how they really got into it,
Yeah, they use it for military, so
and they
they
can
can.
train. They say they can train people to actually do it now,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it's
But I
using
mean,
technology or however they do
Yeah.
it. But
yeah. What I have, it just is. It's me. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but
yeah.
I'm the light. So I have that connection. I have a different connection.
So I
I
imagine if you're moving out that close to them, that they can easily just remote view, and that's when you run into them. And there's probably quite a few of them out there that they're constantly doing it on those
uh
kind of
yeah.
programs.
Yes, they're watching my computer and everything that I do. They watch me. I already had a Men in Black moment that lasted about a half an hour. Uh,
Really?
yeah, I was out on my motorcycle at a back east. We had it was just a burger joint, and I was at another burger joint part of the chain here, and I got on my bike and I left, and when I did, I saw a white SUV with no tags on it following me around. And so I went through every plaza through the town, which is only a 4 mile town, but it's big. We're out in the desert. It's weird when you ride down the street. On the left-hand side, homes. On the right-hand side, desert and mountains. Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I was going through town and then they followed me everywhere. They stayed about, 30, 40 feet behind me at all times. And then I went down this one street called Charleston Road that takes you to Tombstone. I live like 20 minutes from Tombstone. Um,
Mhm.
and I stopped on the street, and when I did, I jumped off my bike, and I always keep a firearm on me because I worked in prison, and because I had somebody follow me home, and I pulled out my 45 and pointed it at them, and then they stared at me for about 2, 3 minutes, and they did a U-turn and left, and they had on black suits and hats.
Has anybody from the government ever reached out to you and wanted to acquire your services?
Well, that's the reason for this, because
Yeah,
they're not going to reach out to me. They're going to try to pick me up,
I got you.
and I already know too.
Be an eerie feeling to feel
Yeah.
that all the time.
Oh, I already know when it's going to happen, so I'm not worried about it.
To give you a heads
Okay.
Yeah, they gave me a heads up. It'll be happening September 2025.
Wow.
Oh wow. Hopefully it's nothing. Yeah, nothing bad. It's just.
My
Man.
my truck is armed to the tooth. I'm not kidding.
Good.
So it ain't gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not kidding. And you're allowed to do that here in Arizona.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I'm prepared. And you come to my house, you're leaving in a bag. I'm not.
So when you say it's going to happen at that time, can things happen where it changes the
Yeah,
future,
yeah,
where something can happen? Yeah, it's just a ripple effect. It would
yeah,
change that. So it wouldn't. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's the
but
it's
I'm prepared.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't walk around in fear.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Just can't. I mean, people, you can't do that anyway without anyone and with your lives. When you wake up every day and you go out and do whatever you do, you're walking into the unknown every day. You don't know what's going to happen. You make plans, but does it always
Yeah.
happen that way?
And
No.
I think it is in your way. It's more than if anything happens. It's just very accepting with everything that's happened to you, as in just.
It's
Uh,
not
uh,
not
it's,
accepting to me when I know someone's going to be hiding behind the bush trying to shoot
oh,
me.
not necessarily that. I'm just saying like everyday life.
Oh,
It's
it's necessarily
yeah.
that. I was asking about it last night. That's what they're going to do.
Wow.
They
Wow.
they want to take out the truth tellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, yeah, I could see that.
They
Yeah.
don't be doing. I mean, they know I'm talking about this. I mean, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. We
You're a piece of,
we're into a lot of not just conspiracies, but we follow a lot of stories with government, and
yeah.
we go through them on our podcast as well. And so we always ask the same questions, and we always go through those kind
Yeah,
of
I,
things.
I had a girl on my show one time. We called it a conversation with Jane Doe because she wanted to talk about it, but she didn't want to show her face. So
Hmm.
yeah, one of those things. But that's not one of the shows we're importing over to this network because it's not about that stuff. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just it just is what it is. You know,
Hmm.
you never really know what's going to happen to you in your life. I mean, people get shot and murdered all the time,
Mhm.
and they don't know that it was going to happen to them.
Sure.
So you just do the best you can to live the most positive life that you can throughout your entire life. Like I said, someone can get angry. I had a lady come up to me in the mall one time, and I was doing readings, and she was an Amish lady, and she saw my sign, and there's all these people waiting to get a reading, and she said, "So, do you communicate with spirit?" I said, "Yes, I do." She said, "So you're talking to spirit?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And then she stood in that devil,
Oh,
and everybody around's going, "What the?" And I looked at her and said, "No, I am not speaking to the devil because there is no such thing as a devil. There is no such thing as a Satan. There is a Lucifer, but he's an archangel. He did not fall from heaven, nor did he fall from the grace of God either, because they don't.
hmm.
But there are negative energies, and they just choose to be that way. But he's an archangel. There is no such place as hell. There is no such place as purgatory." And as I'm going through this, she's getting angrier and angrier, and she's yelling and screaming at me. You know what I'm doing? Nothing.
Very quiet.
And
Just
then when she got done, I said, "Are you done?" And she just kind of looked at me. I said, "Are you done?" She said, "Yeah." I said, Okay, have a great day. She stomped her feet and walked away because I can choose to not get angry over anyone else's anger, and we
Sure.
can all do that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to get into an argument with them. I don't need to debate with them. And some people who do want to debate with me when I talk about things, and they ask me something, I tell them something, and then they always say to me, "Oh, that was very arrogant." And I always say to them, "Don't mistake my confidence as arrogance. I just know I'm right and you're not."
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah, I mean,
say
it's got to be tough when you know,
Yeah,
when
when I
you know,
say
you
that at that
know.
point, they have nothing else to say at that point because they know if anything else they say to me isn't going to make a difference because I know
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and I got that saying from them. They told me to say that. So I don't have to engage with them. Now, sometimes I do engage with them because I got to just freaking educate them because they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, they can't think outside of the book. or,
Yeah.
or the
yeah,
box, if you want to call it. But yeah, but that's all they ever know, and that's all they've ever been taught. But yeah, it's yeah. If that thing was so important, how come not everyone's following it? I mean, if it's so
right.
important, why are there so many religions? Why do they have their own ideologies, all their
I
own
agree
books?
completely.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. I guess it's them telling you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. That's all.
yeah, yeah.
Why do they want 10%? Because they don't want to go out and get a real friggin' job.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to
It's
they don't want to earn it. They just want to tell you how to do it. So because they're telling you how to do it, only they can save you. Only they can tell you to eat bacon one day and they tell you to wear certain shoes the next day.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what they need to do? They need to shut the hell up. And we need to stop listening.
Yeah. Well, most
I
criminals.
I agree.
Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of the stuff I talk about does make sense to people, but the reason it's making sense and it's different is because they don't hear it because everyone else is afraid to talk about it. And
Yeah.
because they just want to get customers, they want to get
Yeah.
clients and all that stuff. I do readings and stuff like that, and we do a thing up in Tucson once a month, but I'm not charging exorbitant amount of money. I'm just trying to help freaking people.
Yeah.
But as I always say, they have to learn to listen, trust, and follow through. I can give
Right.
them all the information that they need, but because I don't necessarily do I will get in touch with your mom and dad or what I call general spirit. I give
Right.
them
Mm-hmm.
peace of mind and clarity, but I give them direction to get on the right track in their lives so that they can the next time they're out of here, they can go home and stay home and not have to come back here again because that's what
Yeah.
happened for us. But
It's
and
like
that
that one it's like that one lady that you told about she was starting a business but you said that she was going to need a partner.
Oh, that chick, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, she saw me down in this place in Ocean City, Maryland, at this big convention center, and then but even then, she didn't want to listen then. I was
Yep.
telling her, don't do this. But I want to do this, Daniel. I said, I know you want to do this, but I'd like a Ferrari too. But, that's not going to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd really want a Ferrari because that's a piece of shit car. Who wants to pay $100,000 for a car? I got to get into it like this and I can smell the back of my knees, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't fit.
But
Yeah.
so I tell her, don't do it. But, she was adamant. And then, yeah, when she came to me at that other place, when I walked in, I mean, there's all these people. There was like a restaurant, but it was just for this reading thing. I think I talked to like 22, 23 people, and like I was there for really late. And one of the stories, one of the people, I'll get to it later, but she comes up and she's like looking at me like trying to get my attention, and she kept going, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I did a reading with you once before, and I was like, "Lady, I do a lot of readings. Come on." And I think I was pretty memorable. My wife is pretty memorable, but you know, look at her. So there you go. But so then she came in and she said, "So do you remember me?" And that's why I said, "Oh, I don't remember you, but I'm being told I did a reading for you down in Ocean City, and you wanted to open a business." And she said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I said, "Yeah, but I told you not to do it. As a matter of fact, it was going to be right here across the street, right?" And she said, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" I said, "Because you're talking to the freaking medium. That's how." And she
That's what I
said,
do.
"Yeah, it's what I do, man." And they don't get it. Even the people who I know forever still don't. get that. You know, I mean, they just don't.
Well,
So
it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, I think, if you
it
don't,
is.
if you
It
don't
is.
experience it and really
Right.
understand it, it's
Yeah, absolutely. They just don't get it because, it's like if I'm I have this, or if I'm a jet pilot and I give you, and you're 6 years old and I hand you the keys to this jet and you look at all the knobs and stuff like that, you're going to go, what the hell? Because you
yeah.
don't, so,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I know, I said, so how did it go? And she said, I opened a business. And I said, I know. How did it go? She said, closed down 6 months later. And I said, right. And I told you not to do it. And she said, yeah. And I said, and how did it go? Because I know there was a big line there at the end. She said,
Yep.
I owe my partner $10,000. I said, the partner I told you you wanted to get, but you said you didn't want. And she said, oh yeah, I remember that now. I said, yeah, you didn't remember it then because you had your ass so far up your fucking ass. But you hear what I was saying. So, but yeah, I
So
said,
it's
well,
a lesson learned right there.
it was. And I said, now that I said, now after all that, are you going to listen to me now? And she said, well, that's why I came here. I like you. I said, I'm glad you like me, but you didn't listen to me. I gave you everything you needed to know. And I looked at her and I was not angry, but I was just frustrated. I said, but you didn't listen to me. And it's not me you're getting answers from. The answers I give you are coming from God, because people come to me because they want an answer from God. And I get it for them, but they don't listen. Why? Because they want to do what they want to do. So it's basically when I tell you an answer and you don't listen, that's you telling God, I ain't got time for that.
Or they just don't like it and they don't want to hear it.
Right.
The wrong answer.
They want their own truth,
yeah.
not
Yeah.
the actual truth. So she said she would listen to me. But it was when we did that reading that she said, I gave her all these answers about her grandchild that was going to be born. It was going to be a boy and it was going to be all messed up. It had I remember this part, it had some ear problems and it had some breathing problems and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, that's what the other three mediums told me.
Yep. But you were her favorite, she said
I'm
in the
her
book.
favorite. And I said, you didn't
Yeah.
listen to them. The first
Yeah.
one, okay. The second one, you got clarity from it. And, you didn't listen to that one. Third one, you didn't listen to that one. You still got clarity for it. Now you're hearing me, and I'm telling you the same thing. What does that mean? Does that mean it's going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen. But she didn't want to hear that. And then when she actually got up and walked away, I said, are you going to listen to me now? She said, yeah. I turned around and my wife, and they said, they just told me no.
Yeah, she's not gonna listen to him. No way.
Yeah.
At that point, I have to hope they will, and I have to wash my hands up and go, okay,
Yeah,
next.
that's all you can do. Put it out there and hope they do what they
Yeah,
want. Yeah.
they don't, it's just, it's about listening, trusting, and following through. When you
Yeah.
get the message, listen to it. And what they bring you got to trust it. And then you have to do what they said. But if you take that message and try to turn it around because you're going to use your ego, because that's what you've always done before you talk to me, and you're
Mm-hmm.
still going to talk to me and get the same thing, and you're going to make it bigger and better for yourself, it's going to go south. I had a lady do that where she said she was wanted to buy this car. And I said, you can buy the car. I said, take the money, buy the car. And then she came back to me 6 months later and said, everything you told me didn't go through. And I said, oh, really? No. Oh, okay. Well, let me ask why. And she said, oh, I'll tell you. I said, no, I don't want to hear from you because you're a liar. I don't want to hear from you. You have a big, huge ego, and I don't want to. Also, I'll ask them. And then I go, okay, so what you did is you took some of the money, instead of putting it down on the car, you bought some jewelry. I said, as a matter of fact, that gold chain you got around your neck, you bought that, correct? And she said, yeah. Again, how'd you know that? I said, because you're talking to the fucking medium. That's hell. I said, so what you did is I told you what to do. They gave me a message to relay to you, and that's what I gave you. And
Yeah.
you changed it. And now your car got repoed, right? She said, yes. I said, you fucked that up. If you'd have listened and done step by step what I told you, what they were telling you to do, you'd still have that car. But when you changed it around, that's what happened. She said, okay, you're right, right, and all that. And then she said, can I ask you another question? I said, no. Why would I give you answers to somebody who doesn't listen? You get yourself right, you get yourself together, you come to me correct next time, knowing that you're going to do what I tell you to do, and then I'll give you answers.
Yeah.
Came
When you
back and
talk when you talk to these people, do they have to be with you, or is it something you can do over the phone, or is it how does that
Yeah,
work?
I'm I could ask you now. What do you want to know?
No, I don't know if I want to open that. That's the whole
Open Pandora's box right there for you,
thing.
Ian.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you about the dog that's standing behind you?
I don't even. I hate that dog.
It loves you.
The dog standing behind you. There's a man standing behind you, Tyler.
With a dog.
No. Um, he's kind of got like hair that's it's nice and flat, short cut, but does go nice, kind of straight cut. Kind of, I wouldn't call it a comb over. He just has it combed over to the side.
Hmm.
Um, Robert.
Does he have a purpose, or is he here for anything particular?
Yeah, he's here to be your spirit guide.
I need one of those.
Who's Robert?
Um, probably would assume probably my biological brother. He's the only Robert that I know that has been.
No, not
Yeah.
not you, Tyler.
Oh, Tyler.
Yeah, who's
Robert, I have a Robert, and that's my dad. Um, and if it was my dog, it was probably my dog that passed away when I was very young in Storm.
you have Robert with you. Ian, you have the dog with you.
Is it? Oh, okay, okay. It's
Mm.
hard to do both at the same time, but
Right.
it definitely Robert, you guessed it right off the bat in the beginning.
Your
And yeah,
dad,
it was definitely my dad. Clean
your
cut.
dad, your dad passed away.
Not, no, he hasn't, but I haven't seen him in. There's a long story behind it, but many, many, many years.
No, this is someone else.
It is Robert.
This is someone who's passed away.
Yeah, I only have the only one I know would be Charles, which is my dad, which is my grandpa.
Is that him? I'm asking. Oh, you got two guys with you. One of them's named Robert. The other one is Charles is standing on your. I don't know what the significance of this is, but he's standing right on your right side. Oh,
Um,
he just put his head down too, like this. He went like this.
I saved his life when I was a child.
Sort of.
Um,
He still died.
yeah.
Really does.
It's a horrible. I'm writing a book about my life, and yeah, before he passed away, I was had to been 8 years old, and he wanted to. I was up in Land O'Lakes, up in Wisconsin area, and he wanted to go boating, and he had an aneurysm, and he fell out of the boat, and he weighed 300 and something pounds, and I was 8, and I tugged on his right arm, and almost I think I dislocated his shoulder, and I held him, and I had to lean back in the boat
It
and
did.
hold him, and until he came about and conscious again, laid on the boat on the ground, and I had to go. I think it was 9 miles from where we were on the river, all the way back to where we he lived, and called an ambulance, and he lived another 20 years. But it was his right arm completely black and blue from me pulling him so hard when I was 8. I don't even know how I did it.
Was he a good
Yeah.
guy?
It was extremely good. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
From what I know. Yeah. And
yeah.
from knowing him.
From what I see, so he doesn't look like that now.
Not now, no.
No, they don't look like that. They go back to like a feeling of what it was like when you were 30 years old. And when I see heaven, there's nobody there overweight. They're
Hmm.
not like that anymore. That's a human thing. It's just this Robert that I'm concerned about. Let me ask you something. Oh, hmm. So he's here. Um,
Hmm.
but let me ask, was he? No. Okay. He was here. So he was. I should have said. He was connected to you in your previous lifetime to this one.
Okay.
He was just a relative there, but he's just here to help you now. That's all.
And you're saying that was involved when I had sleep paralysis for the first time a
Yes,
couple months ago.
yes. So in other words, what he was trying to do is just trying to get your attention.
Hmm.
He got it. Yeah,
It
but
was the most frightening, one of the most frightening times of my life, and that
nothing
was a couple months ago.
unless you feel like it's a nasty presence around you, or but if you're just being moved, but
Hmm.
that thing put that blanket above me. It just shook it above me. It was just trying to get my attention. That's
Yeah.
all. It wasn't a clown coming out of a storm drain or a nun coming out of the closet with a knife in its hand. It wasn't doing that. It was just a presence there trying to get my attention. They do that. They want to get our attention. They're trying to get our attention. They're trying to talk to us and trying to get messages to us, but we don't listen. I didn't listen then, but
Hmm.
I listen now. But I mean, regular spirit talks to me all the time, but that's not who I get my information from. When I'm asking questions about Robert and being told it's Robert and stuff like that, he's
Hmm.
not telling me. It's archangels are telling me because they're connected to everything, but they're just telling
Hmm.
why he's here, and then I'm just being touched. Yes, that's what they're doing, and then and they're telling me that he was here in a previous lifetime before this one, because
Okay.
the soul that's inside of you now doesn't look like you. It looks like you the last time you were here. So when everybody does those ancestry things and stuff like, oh, I got to find out where I'm from and stuff like that. Oh, I'm from Africa and all that. You're from all over the freaking world. That's where
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
And those past lives are not important. It's what's important is what you do now. Because if that previous life was so important, you would have fulfilled your purpose, and you wouldn't be here now. You'd be home in heaven, hanging out with everybody else, and you're not. So that's what you have in common with the other 7.5 billion people. They've all been to heaven. They all had to come back just like you. What does that mean? We're all equal. Let it
Oh
go.
yeah.
Does all the information that you get, is it mostly on a personal level, or do you
Yeah.
ever get any information about like this tornado is going to come and wipe out this town? Do you ever get anything like that, or is it just about
Yes.
people and
No, I do get stuff like that. I just don't tell people. I can't.
because no one will believe you, or
No, it'll scare the shit out of them.
oh, is that? Yeah,
I
That,
can't.
and it's just like the situation where he was walking through the mall and he couldn't
yeah,
tell that guy that he was going to die.
right, right, right.
It
Correct.
was, you just have to happen.
One of the things I did tell people about, it was 2.5 years prior to COVID coming. I was told COVID was coming. I wasn't told COVID. I was told there was a bad virus coming, and I was told about the first stock market crash. So I was doing festivals at that time around 2018, and then, um, while I was doing them, I was telling people. I was telling them how to prepare, though. I told them what a bad virus is going to come. It's coming, but I didn't know exactly when at that point, but I told them how to prepare. I mean, but
Hmm.
we told everybody, and when it actually came, my wife and I had 3 years worth of toilet paper, and that's what
You were
we
the
had.
only one because you
Yeah,
couldn't get toilet paper around here.
we
Yeah.
had 78 cans of spam in our house.
Right.
So we have these little mini barrels that like 25-gallon barrels like this tall from the table, and they had rice and beans and all that dry goods, all that stuff. We still have some of it, but
Yeah.
a lot of it. But um, so yeah, so and then a month before it came, I told everybody, okay, it's coming, get ready. And then a month later, it came.
Wow.
And then I had a bunch of people contact me and say, I was so glad we listened to you and we got all the stuff and thankful and all that stuff. And then I got a bunch of messages that said, I wish I would have listened to you. I thought you were
Yeah,
crazy. I
sure.
said,
I know.
I'm
Is
not
that
crazy.
on,
You could listen to me.
was that on Reddit that you use that?
No, I was actually doing that live. I,
Were you?
I,
Okay. Okay.
I was at festivals when you could still do that,
Hmm.
and, and talking to people when I'd get a reading, and then I would be told I could tell that person this, and then I would tell them how to prepare.
Have you ever gotten anything just blatantly wrong that you
No,
know of? They're always pretty spot
no,
on.
I'm spot on every time.
Wow.
Yeah. My mother-in-law um came to me and she wanted to know when she was going to pass away because she had stage 4 cancer. And at that point, my I told my wife, I said, and she's like, just get her an answer. So I went and got an answer, and I said, all right, Dolores, you need to write everything down. You got 2 weeks. She
Wow.
died. She died 2 weeks to the day.
Wow.
No.
I don't know if I want to know that information.
I I I
Right.
wouldn't.
going to do
Yeah.
everything different? Are you going to do anything different? Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but it's not
Yeah.
going to. You're just going to die. Everybody does. So
Yeah.
I
when the-
guess if someone knows it, then they'll appreciate each day better than they did the last.
maybe they should do that now before that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just do it just because.
Yep,
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah, because we can. I said it, I think I'm one of the things I read I had wrote in my book that they told me about God. If God, if you walk around and basically you do your day. But
Mhm.
now, if you knew God was following you everywhere you went, He was by your shoulder, and you're about to go kick a dog, and you go, "Oh, but God's next to me." Oh,
Yeah.
everything you do, oh, but God's next to me. Oh, I was about to yell at this person, but God's right next to me. So would you do?
Mhm.
Would you now do everything different? Well, you probably would. But
Probably.
you
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the truth of it is He sees everything. He's with you every freaking day, but you still do the fucking shit you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Because He gave you free will to do that. Because
Yeah.
God is not going to punish you to a place, banish you to a place for something He gave you, which is called free will. Because God, being that omnipotent being, knows everything. And if He knew that we were going to make some bad choices, don't you think He would have put a limit on those choices so we couldn't make those bad choices? But He didn't. And the reason He didn't is because in order to live your life, you have to make decisions for everything. And because
Yeah.
you have to do that, He gave you the ability to do that. And because you have to do that, why would He punish you for that? He wouldn't. People do that, and people say He's going to do that. So
Right.
they say you got to live your life the way they want you to live and give them 10%.
Control. Yeah.
Religion. Yep.
Control. Religion. Sure.
Religion, control, power, greed. Yeah. No.
100%.
In the Bible, they tell you you're part of the flock. And
Mhm.
now in the regular people, they call you part of the herd mentality. So they're calling you
Sheep.
sheep.
Yeah.
Sheeple.
But yeah, which one are you? Neither. God is a fearing God, yet He's a merciful God. Which one is He?
Right.
Neither. He's a loving God. There's so many consistencies or inconsistencies in that Bible. In the Bible, it says Leviticus 19:31. Now, you guys know who Leviticus is?
I don't.
Not
Me,
no.
me neither, because Leviticus is not a person. He's a tribe of people that Moses belonged to who made all the rules. They sat around a fire and made all the freaking rules. Commandments, you heard of them.
Hmm.
So Leviticus 19:31 says you're not allowed to speak to mediums, me, because I speak to the dead. I don't speak to the dead. I speak to souls. Now, with that, Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Father and the Son, absolutely, again, because He was just being a representation of God. But no Holy Spirit, because how do you know, Ian, how would you know He's holy unless you spoke to Him?
You would.
How would I know your name is Ian or your name is Tyler unless you tell it to me? So I'd have to talk to you.
Right.
Now, if you're the one, if you're that one lucky son of a bitch who's in religion that's allowed to talk to the Holy Ghost, because that's how you find out what the Holy Ghost has to say, you'd have to talk to Him and you'd be able to hear Him. And if you can hear Him and talk to Him, just like you hear maybe God or Jesus and
Hmm.
their own spirit, that would make you a medium, of which Leviticus 19:31 says you're not allowed to be. Contradiction of the Bible.
Wow.
Well, it's not real. It's them telling you 50 stories to try to prove one point. Why? Because they can't get it across to you because it doesn't make sense. I mean, really, do you believe someone can live in the belly of a whale? Do you actually believe Noah could live to be 965 years old? Does that mean his daughters were 965 years old? Because when they got off that boat, his daughters got married to two guys. How's that possible? The flood killed everybody.
It's funny,
Right.
we asked the same questions.
Yeah.
So
Over.
I'm right there with you on that.
It's all bullshit, man. I'm telling you, it's all bullshit. Nobody lives to be. I mean, at that point, the calendar was a lot smaller. I mean, the calendar used to be 5 months long. Then it went to 9, and then it went to
Mhm.
10, and went to 12. And what's that mean? They created 5 signs, and then 9 signs, and then 10 signs, and then 12 signs. These astrological signs.
Right.
No, because your body's born under the stars. It's just born,
Yeah.
but your soul was created, which has nothing to do with anything physical, stars, anything, nothing, nothing. Yeah. And your soul actually um, knows what body it's going to go into and when it's going to be in there. It's all pre-done ahead of time. So it's not picking a day, it's just going in.
Hmm.
Because without the soul, the body is not alive. It's like it's a radio and a battery. You take out the battery, the
Right.
radio.
Yeah.
In the same way, I know this isn't going to sit well with people, but that's why we have stillborn children.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
the soul is coming in when the body's being born. But see, that body's not going to make it. It leaves.
Mm-hmm.
That soul was never in there. So it's not really a baby. It's the carcass, unfortunately. It's just a vessel. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
That's all without a soul. And we leave too. Our soul leaves, and then our people go to the funeral and pay respects to them. No,
Yeah.
you pay respects to them while they're living, while they're here, and while
Right.
you can talk to them. That's what you,
Yeah.
because when that point, they're already gone, and you can't say goodbye to anything but that empty carcass. And the only thing you're doing it is for is guilt. No,
Mhm.
no. They want you, they want to guilt you into everything. Don't listen. I don't. They're full of shit.
You know what? I agree.
What else you
I do too.
what else you want to know from my book? So I don't
I gotta tell you,
Oh.
this has been fascinating, Daniel. I probably got 258 more questions that I could
Same here.
ask you, but I'm sure you're a busy man. So.
Actually today I'm just gonna record some more videos. It's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna maybe eat some dinner later and then
There
we'll
you go.
do more videos. But other than that, I'm just doing that. We're just preparing for this everything to go onto this network, and that's
When does that kick off?
I don't have an actual date of when they're coming out, but it's going to be soon. But they're gearing it. Well, I can't really talk about that either. I signed a non-disclosure.
And
So
Yeah.
yeah.
if you can, think about us and send us a link so we can follow and keep up with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely. I just know I know you're going to see my face on freaking TV, on the apps on TV and stuff like
That'd
that.
be
Good
awesome.
deal.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
people want to reach out and get a hold of you for a reading or anything like that, can they do that? Do you have a
Oh, absolutely.
place to do it?
They can, if they want to get a reading or if they feel they have this ability and they need to move forward with it, because some people do. Some people think they have everything and they don't have
Sure.
shit. As soon as I see their face, I get told whether or not they have it or not. But
Right.
they can reach me on www.spiritmediumdaniel.com. Or they can email me at daniel@spiritmediumdaniel.com. And if they want to get the book, again, they just go to Amazon, put in the search bar, Daniel Jackson, A New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium, and it'll come
And,
up.
and make sure you rate the damn thing, will you?
Yeah. They
Yes, definitely rate it.
put a review in there.
There you go.
I got one guy who put a 4-star rating in there, and that's a guy I did a reading with, and he just
Was not accepting to what the answers you gave.
they all happened, but he was not accepting of it. And that's just his problem. Not everybody is. Again, when I give them a reading, I'm just helping them to get on track. And the thing is he didn't want to get on track.
Mm-hmm.
I did a reading for a woman one time. She had 10 kids.
Wow.
And one of her kids, the last kid, was taken away from her because she left some of her medications out. And the kid got into the bottle and they went all over the floor and the kid took a bunch of them. And then she wasn't watching the kid. Her other 9 kids were watching the kid and they weren't paying attention to the kid. And the kid came outside and fell into the swimming pool that she was sitting by because she didn't want to watch her kids. So all of her other kids are all grown up now, and she wants custody of this kid, but she can't get it. And well, I don't want to have to do any work to do that. Your kid's freaking 3 years old. You don't want to have to get your kid back.
Right.
And she didn't care about her other kids.
Yeah.
And I said, if you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to be proactive in trying to get your kid back, and you're just waiting for it to happen. And she said, well, won't spirit fix that for me? I said, spirit they're not here to fix your life. You're here to do it. If you screwed it up, it's up to you to do that, but they will help give you better decisions to do that. But if you're not going to participate in that, why would they help you? I said, they're not these magical beings that are just going to come out of nowhere. I said, because if they were going to do that, your kid never would have took the pills, and your kid would have never fell into the pool and almost drowned. And she didn't even jump into the friggin' pool. Her other little
Wow.
kid, who's like 8 years old, jumped in.
Wow.
And
Horrible.
I said, our reading is over, and now you're going to get a partial refund, because I'm not going to sit here and listen to you because you're a lazy piece of crap, and you don't want
Yeah.
yourself, you don't want to help your kids, and you don't want to help nobody else. I said, you don't want to fulfill your purpose. She said, I don't want to do all that. I said, have a great day. So I do have some people come across that way, that
Mhm.
they want help, but they don't really want to help. They just want these magical beings to come and fix their lives, and
Yeah.
it's not that way. I mean, so I did a show called Guardian Angel,
Mhm.
because I saw a meme of these guys riding motorcycles, and it's an angel following them. And I said, no one has guardian angels. Because if you had a guardian angel guarding you from everything in your life, you wouldn't learn anything from it.
Mhm.
You wouldn't
Sense.
learn that maybe next time I should pay a little bit more attention so I don't run
Yeah.
into cars or any of that stuff. I said, if you had a guardian angel, nobody would have cancer, nobody would die, right? Because you would ask them to guard you from everything. And if you're doing all that, again, you're not learning anything. Life is not meant to be easy. If it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of even being here?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
given everything in your lifetime, you won't appreciate the things you do have. You won't learn how to get through your life. And if they were doing that, how come I was working at prison with a shitload of freaking inmates? Because they just don't know how to be good people.
Yeah.
So no, there's no guardian angels following you around. There's no guardian angels going to swoop in and fix this for you, because you screwed it up, not them, by your stupid choices. Make better choices. Listen, trust, and follow through. That's what you do.
Oh,
Simple.
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, man, if you go and buy my book, put a good rating in there, you
Put a
piece of
rating in there and review it, will you?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Don't worry. You're gonna get one.
yeah. Life is about just trying to be as positive as you can, getting through life the best way you can. Is it always going to be easy? No, but you will hopefully get through those lessons, getting you to the point where you need to be when someone's going to walk up to you and say, excuse me, sir, I'm lost. Can you help me find my way? And you do one of two things. I hate people. Or you say, yeah, man, you take a right hand turn, you go down here 3 blocks. You know what? I got to go that way. Why don't you just follow me down there and I'll show you how to get there? When you do that, that fulfills your purpose, and that's hopefully going to get you your golden ticket home, so you can go home and stay home and not have to come back and do this all over again.
Uh,
That's what life is.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Daniel, I appreciate your time. Thank you for spending a little bit with us today and
Thanks,
talking about
man.
your story and your life and your book, and
Yeah,
buy
my
the
book
book, and
there behind me. Yeah, that
there
book.
you go.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate it. If you got some free time in the future, maybe we can do this again if you write another book. And
Oh yeah.
I am writing another book called I am it's either going to be called I Am the Light or I Am Light, and one of those. But it's going to be so after that book came to an end, it's going to be everything after that.
okay,
Of basically
Okay.
what it's like to live my life. It's not
great.
easy.
We'll definitely I'll read that, and we'll have to get back to you on another podcast so we can
Yeah,
talk
Sure.
more.
man. Yeah,
Love to do
I
it
really
again.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a good time.
thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. And until next time, we'll do it again.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
My bit of advice is be
Sure.
good. Don't do any stupid shit. But
That's exactly it.
if you do, don't get caught, man. That's all.
All right, Daniel, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Guys, be
Thank,
good.
thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.